I've missed you. I hope you miss me. Thank you for all of you who continue to maintain your subscriptions to my channel. I will reward you with a much more consistent effort going forward. With that said, let's talk about one of the last things I discussed, and that is the murder trial of Carmelo Anthony. Now we're going to discuss his appeal and how that turned out. So pull up a chair, have a seat, and let's talk. Okay, so most of the nation knows what the Carmelo Anthony murder case was. If you don't, please watch my previous video on the entire sit down and get down on it. But for all those who may have forgotten, or even those who simply do not know, because I won't assume that you keep up with the news, let me give you a very, very quick rehash on what happened. The headline reads, Carmelo Anthony found guilty of murder in Texas track meet stabbing. Anthony admitted to stabbing Memorial High School student Austin Metcalf, but claimed self-defense. Moving on. A Collin County jury has sentenced Carmelo Anthony to 35 years in prison after he was found guilty of murder and fatal stabbing of 17-year-old Memorial High School student Austin Metcalf during a high school track meet in Frisco, Texas. Anthony faced up to life in prison after being convicted of murder. He will be eligible for parole after serving half that time. He broke down in tears and was shaking as the verdict was read Tuesday afternoon and was immediately taken into custody. So that's the nuts and bolts of that. If you want to know more about the trial, how it got there, the details surrounding it, as we do hear it on the table, we encourage you to go look things up for yourself. Go find your own information, as it were. With that said, like any other person that has been convicted of a crime in the United States, you have an appeal. You have an appeal process. No problem with that. If you want to appeal your ruling, you can. Here the headline says, Carmelo Anthony blasts judge in new filing over handling of murder trial. Attorney Russell Wilson argues Judge John Roach's post-verdict comments prove he cannot fairly rule on Anthony's appeal. Now, we will get into those post-trial or post-verdict comments here in a bit, but let's finish laying the foundation for this particular grievance. Carmelo Anthony's new legal team is accusing the judge who presided over his murder trial of bias and arguing courtroom restrictions violated his constitutional right to a public trial in a pair of post-conviction motions seeking to overturn his conviction. Now, I understand how the legal system works. I do get it. I get it. But if you noticed, they didn't argue against the evidence, the witnesses, the testimonies, the interviews. It's literally those loopholes they want to get this young man who murdered another young man off on. It's really a damn shame because, well, we'll get into that a bit later as well. Continuing on, according to court filings reviewed by Fox 4 Dallas, Anthony's defense team asked that Collin County Judge John Roach recuse himself from all remaining post-trial proceedings while also requesting a new trial based on what the defense describes as constitutional and legal errors during Anthony's prosecution. Now, notice what I said at the very beginning of this whole thing. Carmelo Anthony's new legal team, his new legal team, okay? His new legal team, because his old legal team, according to himself, obviously, and his family, they feel failed him.
Okay.
Why? Again, we shall get into it. We already know this. Anthony was convicted of murdering. Got it. The motions are the first major filings by Anthony's new legal team, led by attorney Russell Wilson. You sucked in the Super Bowl.
I understood that reference.
Who previously agreed to represent Anthony pro bono during the appeals process. A good-hearted attorney, you would say. This guy feels that this young man was done wrong, so he's going to represent him pro bono for the goodness of his heart.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit.
Yeah, I said the same thing. You're attaching yourself to a major crime that made nationwide news in order to get your name out there. There's no shame in it. I'm not hating on you for that. Just, it's what it is, y'all. Don't think this is some altruistic nonsense, okay? Fox News reached out to Wilson's office for comment. A representative said Wilson is not commenting on the case at this time. You're doing it pro bono. Don't you want to tell us why? What did you see that was so... This is my 2 cents. Don't you want to tell us and show us what was so... you feel so egregious that it made you give up your time, which is an attorney's profit? That is, the time is literally their money. Don't you want to tell us why? But again, that's me nitpicking. I ease back.
No. He's got a point.
Continuing on, in a news release obtained by Fox 4, the defense said it filed a verified motion to recuse Roach, arguing his public comments following the trial created the appearance. Not that it did anything. Notice even they said it. The trial, his public comments following the trial created the appearance that he could not impartially rule on Anthony's post-trial motions.
Wow.
Now then, let's get into the fun stuff. You might be asking, what did the judge say in a post-trial interview that was so egregious that they feel that they had to make the judge recuse himself? What did this man say that was so horrible that he had to recuse himself?
Good question.
Well, first, before we go to his actual interview, let's go to the salacious media headlines. As you can see, what the headline says: Texas judge who presided over Carmelo Anthony murder trial removed from case over got it right comment.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, that's strong. Well, let's dive down a little bit deeper into it, shall we? A Texas judge granted Carmelo Anthony's request Wednesday to remove the judge who presided over his murder trial from the post-trial case, finding that a reasonable outside observer could question whether the judge appeared impartial. Judge John Roach, who presided over Anthony's June murder trial, was removed after Anthony's attorneys played Roach's post-trial WFAA interview in court and argued his remarks showed that he had already prejudged the defense's request for a new trial. Harley said Wednesday he did not know Roach. Harley is the judge looking over the request to recuse the other judge. He did not know Roach and described recusal as a high bar. He said he did not find that Roach violated judicial conduct rules and believed Roach could be fair. Okay. So if another judge who is judging a judge, hilarious, the paradoxes and irony are insane there. If he believes that man can still be impartial, then why remove him, right? Logical question. Then we get into the real crux of all this BS. The defense argues Roach cannot fairly rule on post-trial motions because of remarks he made to reporters after the verdict. The filing cites comments in which Roach said the jury got it right and defended several trial rulings. Now then, peep all that. Don't let that gloss over you. Got it right, defended several trial rulings, including his handling of courtroom access and the dismissal of 3 Black prospective jurors. Now then, I'm going to get into all this here in a moment. You're going to love it. Anthony's attorneys contend those comments have created the appearance that Roach prejudged the defense's claims. We got it now. I've laid the foundation. I have given you the appetizer. Now let's get into the true meat and crux of this. Because let's be real. If you heard about this case, it's been racial this, racial that. It is not even about the fucking guilt anymore. It's not even about the fact that a kid killed another kid. It's black and white. That's the favorite thing that sadly, that uneducated, ignorant ass like to run to. They run to that, oh, it's because he's black and he's white. No, it's because that kid stabbed that kid.
And that's it.
I'm not going to rehash my entire previous video, but I will give you one key point. Why did a kid bring a knife to a high school track meet?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know.
What the hell were you scared of? You want to know the details on how I really feel about that? Please see my previous Carmelo Anthony video. But now I want to take the time to go into the different things that Carmelo Anthony's defense are accusing of, or accusing the previous judge of, when it comes to this WFAA interview. Now, one of the things that was previously mentioned was the fact that the judge would not allow cameras in the courtroom.
And?
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, hell, do y'all know how many trials go on that are far more interesting than the Carmelo Anthony trial? Woo. But let us look at exactly, damn what the paper is saying, damn what his attorneys are talking about. We're going to let you watch for yourself, judge for yourself exactly what the judge said during this interview. And I will add my 2 cents.
The decision to not have cameras or any kind of streaming, was that an easy one?
Yes, it was an easy decision, and I'll tell you why. My primary goal in any case is to make sure that the defendant and the prosecution gets a fair trial, period. I have seen from other cases around the country where cameras in the courtroom changed the way that the judge acted, the lawyers acted, some of the witnesses acted, and we were not going to have that here. We were going to really isolate the purpose for which we were here for, which is to have that fair trial. And cameras in the courtroom did not enter into that equation at all.
And he's dead ass right. If anybody watched the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial, you saw a lot of those performances. You saw it. And also, he mentioned, I'm not sure if I have that clip, we'll see. But he also mentions about having minors in front of cameras like that. You know, putting them out there on blast. So one of the problems that Carmelo Anthony's new legal team says is, well, they couldn't watch it. Nobody could watch it.
What?
Why do they need to? The only important people to a murder trial are those 12 jurors.
Yep.
The rest of the world doesn't matter unless you want them to matter.
Aha!
Unless your plan is to get enough public sympathy, enough grassroots movements, a big enough common man groundswell to have them affect the case.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter if all the media could get in there. It doesn't fucking matter if it was televised. Why would it matter if the trial was televised? It wouldn't change the facts.
Preach!
So, like I said, a lot of BS. Now, in this same interview, let me see if I have the clip here. Oh, and I do. Let's talk about what made this trial so difficult in the judge's eyes.
What made this trial different?
I think it started off bad. And it started off bad with the doxing and the swatting of the judge and the parties, the witnesses, and all that stuff. So I think it started off bad, and I'm going to attribute that to social media. And I think social media got it wrong. And it is what it is. I think that's something we have to live with these days. But I think it's my responsibility and other judges' responsibility to make sure, no matter what's going on in social media, that someone can walk in a courthouse and get a fair trial.
Okay. Do y'all understand kind of where my problem with this whole thing is? They're not trying to argue an appeal and a retrial on anything of significant merit. they're trying to argue it on bullshit, loopholes. And that's my problem with this, because we all know what it really boils down to, don't we? We know what this really is all about, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the next thing that I have, the next clip of this interview that I have, is when the judge talks about some AI stuff that was out there. One of the things that was said was that he was buddies with the Metcalfs. And I will let that judge in this interview address that.
Do you have a personal relationship with the Metcalfs?
I wouldn't know Mr. Metcalf prior to this trial if he walked up to me and said hello. I don't know the Metcalfs. I sympathize with the Metcalfs and what they've been through and all, but I don't know them personally. Never have.
Now, a statement like that, he sympathizes with them. That's one of the comments that was taken out of context that had people believing, oh, he cannot be fair and impartial. Oh, he cannot be a fair and impartial judge. He's already had his biases. And speaking of that, let's get directly into the comment that says that the Carmelo Anthony new legal defense team brings up when he says that the jury got it right. But before I go into that, again, I say, go watch that interview for yourself. You can find it on YouTube, Judge John Roach interview, and watch it in its entirety. I implore you to do that, because there are a lot of things said, more expansive details and reasons given that I didn't want to include in the video because, for starters, copyright strikes. Secondly, is because I said in the beginning, we always encourage you to go do your own research here. We don't want to think for you. We want to lay out things that we found, give you our 2 cents, and then you formulate your own opinion. Now, moving on to the jury got it right comment.
Did the jury get it right?
Yeah, they did. You know why? Because they were picked based upon the law. They listened to the facts that happened here in this very courtroom, and they got a verdict. And so that's the process. And whatever they say, they get it right.
Y'all peeped that, right? He didn't say they got it right because they found a black kid guilty of murder. His exact words were, no matter what the jury says, they got it right. They were picked legally. They were picked according to the law. Those 12 individuals, whatever they say, they got it right because they came to an agreed upon decision. They came to one accord on this. They came to a unified verdict, one voice decision. That judge didn't say they got it right because, oh, I hate him, or because he's a black kid that killed a white kid. That man specifically said, y'all heard the context, they got it right. Rewatch that last part of that again when that man says, no matter what the jury says, they got it right.
Period.
But you have them, oh, he said, yeah, he's a judge. What kind of judge would go, oh, those jurors were idiots? No judge would do that. And speaking of which, let's talk about how Carmelo Anthony's legal team brought this up as well. The controversial dismissal of 3 jurors that identified themselves as African American. Let's talk about that on a couple of different levels.
There's going to be a lot of scrutiny over voir dire, and you denied the defense, and the dismissing of 3 jurors who at least identified as African American on their bioforms. What did you make of that moment?
Well, that's not exactly how it works. The defense didn't dismiss them.
I'm sorry, the defense raised an objection.
They raised an objection, yeah. They have raised an objection. Like I told you before, as long as I follow the law, I sleep well at night. And I'm telling you, I follow the law in that case. Did I know what the perception was going to be? Sure. I knew in the back of my mind what the perception was going to be. But I'm not here to satisfy perceptions. I'm not here to satisfy agendas. I'm not here to do any of those things. I'm here to follow the law. And I did it to a T. And I'm proud of that. Very proud of that.
That's it.
So y'all saw that, right? He didn't do it. The defense raised an objection. Do y'all know who the defense was? Carmelo Anthony's team.
That's a bingo.
They raised an objection to those 3 jurors. They did that. They objected to them on the jury stand. Not the prosecution, not the state, not Collin County. Carmelo Anthony's defense team. But that's kind of the thing that the wide open liberal media, they don't tell y'all that part. They don't tell y'all, yeah, it was Carmelo Anthony's side that said get rid of them. And in case you didn't know exactly how jury selection works here in Texas, let me share this with you. Here, the voir dire questioning. The judge begins by checking basic legal qualifications, reviewing valid excuses such as health issues, caregiving, and a prior felony conviction, and asking general questions. That's what the judge does, y'all. That's what the judge does. And then those group of people are brought into the courtroom. I have been summoned for jury duty 4 times, been picked once. It was a very educational experience. I enjoyed my time because I enjoy learning and being enlightened on different things. And I loved learning how the process worked behind the scenes. It was a very enlightening thing. But going on, here's where we get to the fun part. The attorneys, both the prosecutor and the defense lawyer, questioned the panel directly about their backgrounds, life experiences, and potential biases regarding the specific type of crime charged. Now notice, not the judge. Had shit to do with the judge. Who questioned these jurors to see if they want them on the jury team? The attorneys do. The prosecution and the defense. And in this case, the prosecution representing Austin Metcalf, and the defense representing Carmelo Anthony. And what did the judge tell y'all from his own words? And even that reporter had to recognize, the defense raised objections. What does that mean, Tucker? Well, we'll go further here. Removing prospective jurors. Challenges for cause. Either side can ask the judge to remove an unlimited number of potential jurors for cause if a panelist shows an explicit bias, inability to follow the law, or lack of legal qualifications. So let's stop right there. So how was the judge to blame for there not being black people on the jury?
Well, we're waiting.
Tell me, how was the judge to blame? Because the only thing the judge can do is when either the prosecution or the defense says, I want this person gone, this person gone, this person gone. All the judge can do is go, okay. They present their judge with their reasoning, they're gone. In case you don't remember, after the conviction, there were a whole bunch of black people literally going on social media telling other black people to lie to get on a jury to get a black person off.
That's a fact. Facts.
I am not being hyperbolic. That is literally what was happening. So is that what we're doing now? Just let me know. Is that what we're doing?
What's all this? Is this what's hot right now in the streets? That's what's really good, huh?
Now that's a damn shame that black folks would actually go out there and do that. But the whole point was, and the judge said it, is it's all about the law. And as he said, he followed the letter of the law to the T. If Carmelo Anthony's defense team felt so strong about having black jurors on that jury, then they shouldn't have protested those 3 black jurors. That had nothing to do with the judge. Nothing. And this led to the hearing that happened last week, at the end of last week, to see if Carmelo Anthony could get a retrial, a new trial, because of all those biases that the judge supposedly had, that even the judge who recused him said, I couldn't find anything to really hold him on, just how it looked.
That's right.
Not that he broke the law. No, how it just looked. That's why I applaud Judge Roach for, like he said, I understood how it was going to look, but I'm not here to win a beauty contest to consider that. My job is to follow the law. That is a super-based judge.
Yep.
The other thing that was handled in the original trial of Carmelo Anthony was that both the legal teams, the prosecution and the defense, decided not to bring up the kid's past. I did not know why at the time. I figured because what does the kid's past have to do with this particular situation? What does it have to do with it? What? Because unless they had been known to one another and they established they were not, then what does their past have to do with it?
I'm open for another explanation, but it makes sense to me.
Well, Carmelo Anthony's team felt like they were protecting Austin Metcalf, that his past shows that for whatever reason, apparently his past shows that he deserves to get stabbed in the chest.
I find that stupid.
As asinine as that sounds, that was their logic. So let's go into the past of both these men, shall we?
Oh, shit, here we go.
As you can see, the headline reads, "New details and troubling backgrounds for Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony revealed in retrial hearing." You see that? Troubling backgrounds by Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony.
Drama, my favorite.
This is probably why the defense and the prosecution agreed not to bring up their past, because it would probably end up a zero-sum game. That means they cancel each other out. It would mean nothing and would have nothing to do with what happened on the day that Carmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf. But Carmelo Anthony's team, we're going to show how kind of asshole that this Austin Metcalf was. He's being portrayed as some virtuous guy. No, he wasn't. He was being portrayed as a kid who got stabbed for wanting to move another kid from under his high school's tent. Something that back in my heyday would have ended in nothing more than a few punches thrown. That's it.
It is not that critical.
But let's go into this. The gloves have come off in the ongoing courtroom drama involving convicted murderer Carmelo Anthony. Both prosecutors and defense attorneys are now using a motion for a new trial hearing to expose the most violent backgrounds of both Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf.
Please, go on.
And here is where Carmelo Anthony's team felt like they could get a W. This is why not everybody who has a law license is good. Not everybody that owns a law firm is worth a damn. My attorney, private office, and got things in my favor that God knows statistically were not possible. But check this out. Reading on, there was a private, off-record agreement to keep the sordid backgrounds of both Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf from the jury and the public so that the murder trial would focus solely on what happened under the tent at that Frisco high school track meet last year.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because this is not a character issue. This isn't a sustained history between both these young men doing things to one another. This is a in-the-moment incident.
Exactly.
I got to focus on is that moment. Because I hate to tell y'all this, there are some deplorable people in this world that have done some things that were perfectly justified.
Good point.
It's what it is. You don't have to like them, but you got to deal with the facts of the matter. So now it says now both sides are releasing those background reports, with the defense going first by going over 20 years of Austin Metcalf's behavior history. Austin Metcalf's background revealed in court documents. Let's start first. We have graffiti incident and racial slurs. Austin Metcalf and his brother Hunter were once caught spray painting graffiti, including KKK, Kill All Blacks, and Heil Hitler, along with the N-word, and were sentenced to 12 months of juvenile probation, court documents show. Records reveal they reportedly told authorities, "We did some dumb stuff. We did some vandalism." There are several documented instances of Austin Metcalf using racial slurs in school, and in 2023, Austin Metcalf was accused of bullying a black student in class.
Son of a...
Bullying and assault allegations. In 2018, according to court documents, while still in elementary school, Austin Metcalf and his brother were accused of bullying and assaulting a female, which led to Austin Metcalf's arrest.
Holy shit!
During an argument in 2024 with another female student, Austin Metcalf allegedly knocked her to the ground and punched her in the stomach, reports say. He was also kicked out of a football game and later texted someone, "I was about to beat the beep out of those kids."
Fucking hell.
At a previous track meet, when another student alerted Austin Metcalf that someone not on their team behind our bench was talking wild, Austin Metcalf reportedly replied, "Kill that MF," court documents state.
I'm sorry, what?
During the 2023-2024 school year, he received in-school suspension twice. School disciplinary records from April 2022 to May 2024 revealed that he reportedly called a teacher the B word or used profanity, and that he told a school official that he couldn't control it and wasn't aware that it was coming out of his mouth.
Oh, really?
In 2024, on at least 5 occasions, records show Austin Metcalf saw a counselor regarding his anger and rage during a football game. In 2021, he was banned from attending basketball games for a season after yelling profanity at a player. Court documents state that Austin Metcalf was also suspended after he and another student were talking about bringing a gun to the school the following day.
Damn!
Now, I'm not sure how y'all feel about all that, but that kid sounds like a grade A, pretty much racist asshole.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
Several counts of racism, bullying of black kids, and then a woman beater. The dude has issues.
No shit, Sherlock.
He sounds like a true piece of young shit. That what happened to him at that track meet, no matter how horrible it was, unnecessary it was, even unjustified. If his behavior as a high school student, as a young adult, and these are things that y'all saw 2023, 2024, he got stabbed in 2025, this behavior of his was going to go out of high school with him. There would have been, going by these reports, there would have been a fair chance that he ended up on the end of somebody's blade or bullet sooner rather than later if his behavior did not change.
And that's a fact.
I'm not going to deny that at all. Do I believe that trying to move somebody from under your tent, or whether it be a shove or a push, or deserves a stabbing in the heart?
Fuck no!
Carmelo Anthony's team believed that bringing all this up would justify why he was stabbed at a high school track meet.
What? What an idiot!
Let me talk about how asinine that sounds. So because he bullied a kid at his school, bullied other kids coming up, spray painted racial slurs, talked about killing somebody, bringing a gun to school, because he did all that in the past that Carmelo Anthony had no idea of, that was justifiable for him to get stabbed in the heart when he tried to move somebody.
You serious?
Okay. Then Anthony's dumbass defense team, if that justifies why he was stabbed, then let's talk about Mr. Carmelo Anthony's past.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Prosecutors revealed details from Carmelo Anthony character dossier, but the never-before-released details to Carmelo Anthony's teenage years in Louisiana up to the day of his arrest for murder are also quite disturbing.
I think it's going to look very bad.
On the day that Carmelo Anthony would fatally stab Austin Metcalf, prosecutors say he sent a text message at 1 a.m. which said, "I'm low-key on the verge," and then emphasized it. So, as crazy as it sounds, that would have more of an impact on the stabbing than Austin Metcalf's background. The 1 a.m., the day of the stabbing, he's telling you, "I'm low-key on the verge," which means he's already dealing with some shit. He's already going through it at 1 a.m. Later on in the morning of April 2nd, 2025, and hours before Carmelo Anthony would kill Austin Metcalf with a knife at a high school track meet, prosecutors said Carmelo Anthony's girlfriend reported to Centennial High School staff member that Carmelo Anthony was engaging in stalking behavior to include but not limited to driving by her home and refusing to allow her to end their relationship. Again, all these are happening the day of the murder. Does this sound like a man that is mentally there, that is mentally stable at least?
Now you see now, you done fucked up, you know that, don't you?
Also, in a 75-page filing, prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony had previously been accused of stealing his girlfriend's iPhone, and in October 2024 wrote a to-do list for his girlfriend about how to deal with, quote, weirdos, which included the line, "Say something slick like my boyfriend killed people."
Tell me he didn't just say that.
Text about fighting and threats. Prosecutors also found text messages from 2021 between Carmelo Anthony and another student about robbing someone for $300. There are other text messages where Carmelo Anthony talks about fighting and punching someone so hard he had to stop fighting.
Wow.
In 2023, prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony told a friend he was going to vandalize someone's house in Austin, Texas, saying, "I just feel like it. I got a grudge." In 2021, Carmelo Anthony told a friend that he had been suspended from school for 3 days for fighting, saying, "They said next time I do something, I get recommended for expulsion."
Stop it. Get some help.
In a text conversation in 2023, prosecutors have messages from Carmelo Anthony in which he wrote, "I'm going to shoot the school up tomorrow with my blick," but later sent messages saying, "I would never actually do that."
Right.
In 2024 text thread, prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony admitted to carrying a firearm, telling a friend before a party that he would have the gun in my pocket. According to the documents, there are other text message threads in which Anthony also mentions carrying a gun. 10 years in Louisiana. After numerous suspensions for fighting while attending school in Louisiana, there are messages between Carmelo Anthony and his girlfriend after he moved from Frisco. In one message thread, she suggests he should just sit down for a while, and he replied, "Yeah, and punch some people, maybe run sometime. I have to. It's like a priority for me. I like punching people. When I get mad, I see red. When I get mad, I black out. When I get mad, I can't control myself."
You need help. You need serious help.
Let me just pause here for a second. Dear Carmelo Anthony's defense team,
You're an idiot.
y'all did it. Y'all opened the door and did not expect the other team to be just as well as equipped as you were. Prosecutors also produced messages where Carmelo Anthony admitted to getting high and drinking alcohol and even talking about selling drugs and getting guns.
Wow.
Text about guns and racial slurs found. In 2024, prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony attempted to assault a teacher, saying, "I put my hands and face in everything." Also in 2024, messages obtained by prosecutors suggest Carmelo Anthony tried to bring a weapon into the State Fair of Texas, asking a friend if the State Fair got metal detectors. When he was told yes, his friend responded, "You got the poker?" "Yeah, I might have to toss it," replied Carmelo Anthony.
Oh, you gotta be shitting me.
Prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony admitted to stealing a watch and earbuds in separate burglaries in Collin County. Dear God. And also to bringing a weapon onto a Frisco school campus, and said about his girlfriend, She went to my bag to get my computer, and I said no, and she still went in it and grabbed it, and my gun and my knife and some other stuff fell out.
Wow. You really are stupid, huh?
There are numerous unreleased photos, blah, blah, blah. In one message thread, prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony wrote, "I hate gay people." Prosecutors say Carmelo Anthony repeatedly threatened to murder his girlfriend in text messages. Some of them saying, "How many bullets you want coming out of your chest? I'm going to get you, beep." They also said that he threatened her with a knife in one message and told her in another, "When I stab somebody, I'm going to lick their blood off the blade."
Thank you and good night.
We didn't need to know all that. Well, I might want to know all that because I want to know who the fuck is around me at all times, or who my daughters might end up dating. You dig? But that's what happens when you decide that, hey, this is Austin Metcalf, this guy, and I'm going to show you his background, and I'm going to do all this. And then that coin flips, that table turns, that shoe slides on the other foot.
You look awful. Just awful.
And it's not pretty. I greatly appreciate the former teams keeping the background out of the trial because it would have skewed perception for both these boys. It would have. I appreciate the effort they went through to give a fair trial. Now let's see how bringing forth all this background information, let's see how that played out in the efforts to get Mr. Carmelo Anthony a fresh retrial. Shall we?
I just can't see this ending well.
Never mind. Judge denies Carmelo Anthony's appeal for a new trial in killing of Austin Metcalf. Gee, I wonder why.
This is quite a shock. On the other hand, it's not surprising in the least.
Can you wonderful people out there tell me any reason why a judge would not give such a sweet and innocent young man a retrial in killing another individual?
Seriously?
Could it be because of that damaging background that the other defense team didn't bring up? Oh, I'm glad they worked on that shit pro bono because they ain't worth a fucking penny.
That's a fact.
Reading, a judge has denied Carmelo Anthony's request for a new trial in the murder of Austin Metcalf after his new defense team, the ass clowns, called for it in the wake of his conviction earlier this summer. Judge Michael Chitty, woo boy, I'll be real careful going to his courtroom because that last name is prone for issues. Judge Michael Chitty rendered his decision Saturday after testimony stretched into Friday evening. Do y'all know how rare it is for a court, a federal facility, to actually do something on the weekend? Think about that for a minute. He made his ruling Saturday afternoon.
Damn.
The decision could have a major impact on how people perceive the justice system in Texas.
That's bullshit.
Anthony was convicted of murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf after stabbing him, blah, blah, blah. Got it. We respect and expected the court's decision denying the motion for a new trial, Collin County DA Greg Willis said in a statement. The jury's guilty verdict stands, and we remain confident in the process. Every defendant has the right to appeal, and our thoughts and prayers remain with the Metcalf family in the painful wake of last week's hearing. Russell Wilson, one of Anthony's attorneys, expressed disappointment with Chitty's decision. We respectfully disagree with the ruling and remain firmly committed to protecting our client's rights. We believe the issues raised in our motion are substantial and deserve meaningful appellate review.
Get the fuck out of here.
The denial of our motion does not end this case. We will continue to appeal in the Fifth Court of Appeals and pursue every legal remedy available to our court. But again, did y'all see or hear anything that they presented as to why it wasn't murder?
Nope.
They tried to bring up another kid's past without understanding their client has a past that's a wee bit dirty, with just as dirty, if not a wee bit more so. You know, his new defense team would remind me of the Avengers in an end game. What did Thanos tell the Avengers?
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't handle your own defeat. And where did that lead you? Right back to he's still fucking guilty based on the facts and the evidence of what happened. Y'all tried to play this racial game. Y'all tried to play this loophole shit. I'm not going to rehash what I did in my previous video. I'll just make a few points. Let's say that the kid that did the stabbing was white and the kid that died was black. Dear black people, are y'all cool with that? Are y'all cool with that? Just something to consider. If a white kid came to a black school, stabbed a black student for simply trying to get him to move out of his area, are y'all cool with that? Well, thanks for sitting down and having a little chit chat with me. As always, I appreciate your time. Before you leave, don't forget to add your 2 cents to this conversation by leaving a comment. If this talk was good to you, give me a thumbs up. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you won't miss out on the next one. So until the next time, keep the conversation going. I'll see you.